Hey, and I'm Noah, he's Adam, and we are here with the final issue of the DC New 52 that we picked up. All-Star Western.
Yes, and, refreshingly, it doesn't take place in the West.
No, well, where is Gotham exactly?
Somewhere on the western east coast of the center of the United States.
It takes place at Gotham.
Yeah.
1880 AD.
AD, yes. It's odd. I think that, like a lot of the other comics that we've read, I find it a bit confusing. Does this take place in the present of the DC universe? Is this 5 years ago? Is this 7 years ago? It's a little bit ambiguous. So.
I'd say it takes place in the 1880s.
Probably, but I don't know if the caption saying that this takes place in the 1880s is enough. And in case we haven't already mentioned it, who is the star of All-Star Western?
It's Mr. Western. It's Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex. And who is Jonah Hex?
He's a cowboy.
Yeah, he's a
cowboy.
bitter old bounty hunter who hunts bounties. And he's got an ugly face. And a long backstory that we're not going to get into right now, because this story itself takes us into very different territory that doesn't really relate to that so much. So, the story. Jonah Hex travels... We can both do it.
Okay.
Jonah Hex
travels to Gotham.
Gets off at the train station, parks his horse,
and investigates a crime scene of a murder.
Yes, they are trying to discover who Jack the Ripper is.
Well, by Jack the Ripper by any other name. The guy who goes around killing horse. Jack the Ripper.
Yes. He has killed 5 prostitutes so far, and they need to investigate, and I say they, we have the police chief, we have another person who's involved, we have Hex, who was called onto the scene, and another person who is very curious to help, yet who may not be particularly wanted, our other protagonist.
Sigmund Freud.
Almost. Want to try again?
Amadeus Arkham.
It's Amadeus Arkham.
Yeah.
Amadeus Arkham teams up with Jonah Hex to find, psychoanalyze, and beat up Jack the Ripper.
It's a fun comic.
It actually is, a lot of fun. Surprisingly fun for a... because it's All-Star Western. It's a Western-themed comic. It's really taking place in Gotham. Gotham is clearly just Victorian London. I mean, there's nothing distinctively American about it, so it really feels like Jonah Hex was transported to London and is now trying to...
It's kind of like Sherlock Holmes, if Sherlock Holmes were a cowboy.
Yeah, it's a lot like Sherlock Holmes if Sherlock Holmes were a bounty hunter instead of a detective, a cowboy bounty hunter. So...
We're an American!
Yeah, who wears a... They do not stop talking about how he wears a Confederate soldier's uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And they investigate... The plot thickens, Jonah Hex beats up a bunch of people.
Freud analyzes.
Amadeus Freud, Arkham tries to analyze. It's great. We actually get some scenes that take place at the Arkham Mansion, which will later become Arkham Asylum, of course.
We get some hints of Arkham's mother descending into crazy-tude.
And we've even got some appearances from some other characters.
Well, the forefathers of other characters.
And also a certain... I'll put it like this. We have someone who maybe, is not definitely, but bears a striking resemblance to a certain Grundy who is quite Solomon.
I guess you could say he's quite the hawk.
Now, artwork is something that I think we have different opinions on, but which we could certainly say agree on what it looks like. I think this is... I don't know, it does... There's enough variation in it, but okay, here's a... In fact, maybe if I just show the first establishing shot of Gotham.
Yep.
Is there enough lighting on that? Not the gum ad. There we go. If it looks dark, it's because it's kind of a dark page. I'll try to find some more pages.
Yeah.
That I could show.
So, I'll start, I guess?
Yeah, you can start.
The art is pretty. It fits. But I don't like it.
Yeah,
It's just not my style. The lines... I know I said I'd like the thick lines in Wonder Woman on the Wonder Woman cover and that type of stuff. But I think here I don't know. It looks too kind of like a woodcut, I guess.
Definitely, I was actually thinking that.
And I don't know. I guess I just don't like it. It's not. You know how some people have favorite colors? This isn't my favorite color artwork.
Well, you don't have to like it.
Yeah.
And
it fits though. It gets the story across. It works.
I understand what you're saying. I think it feels at points, because it does. There is a lot of variation within it that I'll get to in a second. But I think that it looks almost like a drawing from the time period in which it's set, and that's what I like about it. It feels authentic, and it has kind of a very instantly old-timey feel. You instantly know where you are. Even the color palette is just all like just very, very gray and sort of Industrial Revolution, Victorian era, yet we're in America. And there are a few colors that stand out, and we get, it can be liney, like this here, this page, or it could be much more textured, like here we have. There are a lot of different, there's some variation within it to fit each scene, and I have to sneeze, but I'm not going to.
I'll distract you from sneezing.
Also, one detail that I am just not, I can't not mention. There is a scene in a bar.
A saloon.
Yes, perhaps a sort of,
hawk.
Yes, perhaps a sort of hawk. But, there's a scene, Amadeus Arkham is drinking absinthe. So fitting to the era. And he's got the absinthe spoon, not really, it's kind of a proper glass. It is so...
The attention to detail is very nice.
Those kinds of details, and it's peppered throughout this comic, it really does make it... It makes it seem like they did their research and that they know the time period they're setting it in. I mean, the period clothing, it's really...
The period clothing, the period colors, and like the setting. It all feels like a period piece comic.
Not that we don't also get lots of senseless violence.
Oh, of course we do!
That's what it is.
Yeah.
My only criticism, really, of the story is that I think you have a lot of Amadeus Arkham in his caption boxes psychoanalyzing Jonah Hex while we have fight scenes in which Jonah Hex beats everyone up. I don't really mind the fight scenes. They're a bit long, and they don't necessarily carry the plot forward, but it's character development, I guess. But the Freudian analysis of him seems a bit overdone.
Yeah.
So it
just kind of felt like they needed some words in those panels.
Feels kind of like they're padding it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits the character. I could see why he would be doing this, but I don't think we need as much of it as we do. Oh, and just little details like the skull over Gotham here, as I'm sure.
It's barely visible.
No, yeah, it's barely visible. It's subtle. It's like not.
You could see the eyes, eyes, nose, heads and toes, knees and mouth.
Yeah, there's
Don't sneeze.
I'm trying not to. So overall, I would say that it's got nuance to it. It's got these subtleties to it. It's fun because it's kind of... This is also sort of a buddy cop.
Yeah.
It's two guys who aren't really wanted in this investigation, yet who need to solve a murder mystery.
Yeah.
One of whom is a nerdy psychoanalyst, and one of whom is a no-nonsense bounty hunter. Cowboy. Yeah. And they have to work together to... solve this crime, and they may just be getting in a little over their heads.
Yeah.
And one other thing we were talking about that we really like about this, there is nothing supernatural about this at all. This is a completely down-to-earth murder mystery. And
it really is like Sherlockian or just old Western. It is a period comic, I guess. I mean, it's a fun read. It's not like a superhero comic. You know, it's kind of like how Demon Knights was a fantasy. It wasn't really like a hero comic. It was a fantasy. This is just like a Western Victorian story.
I think that's a very good comparison. Yeah. I think that Demon Knights is to fantasy what All-Star Western is to this period piece. And also the thing is that this isn't really... It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this series once he ends up leaving Gotham, because he's not in Gotham forever.
No, he's a loner. He's a drifter. He travels where he's needed to go.
He travels. He follows the bounty.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that it works as a period piece. It is two period pieces of this sort. what Demon Knights is to fantasy. And I actually am really interested in seeing where it's going. I wasn't sure about it. I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but
it was good.
It's fun. It's enjoyable.
Another pleasant surprise.
Yeah, another pleasant surprise. So where on a letter scale would you put this?
I would give this a A-. B+ to A-.
I would go. Let me think. I want to say I'm going to say B+ because I think it's slowed down a bit by Arkham's narrations and stuff, and also I think that although it does establish the character, I think we might have a little bit of excess of just Jonah Hex beating people up, which doesn't really. It feels a little bit like padding.
Yeah.
Not that it's not enjoyable, but it still feels bad. So, but yeah, and that I think is all of the books of the DC reboot. What are our thoughts on the relaunch as a whole?
How about, well, so far, I like the relaunch. I think they're setting up a lot of interesting characters, a lot of interesting stories. The red guy that appears in all the comics, I want to know where that comes, how that develops, how that unfolds.
Or lady.
Yep. Overall, I'm just interested in, like, a lot of these comics that we've read together. I'm interested in how they'll evolve and what they'll go and what they'll do.
Yeah.
All that.
And there are a few more that we haven't read that I might want to pick up. Animal Man, maybe something. Not OMAC. I'm not going to read OMAC.
I want to pick up OMAC because I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, I mean there are a few that we haven't looked at.
We might get back to them, do them in retro.
Yeah, I mean Red Lantern's Resurrection. We did read Resurrection Man. I mean Red Lantern's Legion Lost.
I don't know about Legion Lost.
Legion Lost. If it's anything like Legion of Superheroes, I don't want to read it. But I think overall, things that have been good and things that have been bad.
Yeah.
What's good is that, for the most part, they haven't introduced anything that's too big a change.
No.
It's not a reboot, as some people were fearing.
Yeah.
It's just more tweaking little things here and there. So
it's more of a reintroduction.
Yeah. I mean, they make a few physical changes. They introduce some new characters to the universe.
Change some continuity.
Yeah, but even the continuity changes are pretty minor.
They're just saying, oh, this didn't happen yet. Or something.
My problems, then, is that while we are tweaking a few things, they don't lay out from the get-go, they don't necessarily clearly lay out what few things are different and when certain things are happening.
Yeah.
So that when we have some things that take place in the past, some things that take place in the present, some things that take place in the future.
Or alternate times.
Yeah, well, we don't know about alternate times. I mean, the future ones are pretty clear, but as far as present, there are some gray lines that I might want to see more of.
So, do you want to say what your favorite and least favorite was?
My favorite, I don't really, it's odd.
Favorites.
My favorites. I wasn't necessarily expecting this, but, I mean, it's really the Justice League. Those characters, who I think have some of the best comics.
Yeah.
Aquaman, as we said. Green Lantern, definitely.
Yeah.
Green Lantern Corps was also good, but I wouldn't put it up there. But the main Green Lantern title, the Aquaman title, main Batman.
Yeah.
Not going to go up there with the Flash or Wonder Woman or any of that, but probably
Superman.
Probably Superman.
Yeah.
Action Comics, I also liked. It's different. Actually like both of them. But as far as, that's pretty much what I'm putting up there. It sounds predictable.
You want to say the least favorite together? I think we know what our least favorite is.
Our number one least favorite?
Yep.
Watch us say two completely different things.
1. Voodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Voodoo, unlike Grifter, which is boring, unlike Frankenstein, which was just kind of there. Unlike Static, what was obnoxious, Voodoo was just kind of offensive.
Voodoo was just kind of tits.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. Catwoman bothered me.
Yeah.
For similar characterization and breasty reasons, but
Voodoo
I would still say that was better.
Don't do Voodoo.
I still also don't think Grifter, Frankenstein, or Static Shock were really that great. I know there are some people who differ in opinion, but I myself found them a bit. They were amongst my least favorite. What did you find the most surprising?
The most surprising? Let me look here.
Ones that you liked but didn't expect to like.
Well, Justice League Dark was one. I Vampire, definitely.
Yeah.
I Vampire is a big one. Let me think.
Oh, also Legion of Superheroes is on my not worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely with.
How about we just go through and say which ones?
Well, no, because I think some of these are. I think when we're done, we can just go with think on recommend or not recommend, just or like or not like for all of these. But I think the ones that really surprised you the most, that either in terms of being good or bad, that.
Yeah. Mostly the two I mentioned.
Most of the two you mentioned. I mean, for mine, I would say probably Demon Knights. I found to be surprisingly entertaining.
Yeah. But
Definitely.
I was kind of expecting that fantasy thing, so...
Yeah, Suicide Squad was surprisingly mediocre. I actually expected it to be terrible, but it was just alright, which I think is still surprising.
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey is... See, I didn't know what to expect. It was definitely a lot better than I thought, though. So, Birds of Prey is up in my very good area, so I really enjoyed that. And if we go through, I mean, we'll skip naturally the ones that... Oh, and I think Justice League #1 was surprisingly underwhelming.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but I expected a lot more. So, I mean, maybe if we go through these lists, skipping, of course, the ones that we haven't read. Justice League #1?
Recommend.
I'm going to wait until next week.
Okay.
Action Comics?
Definitely.
Yeah. Batgirl?
Batgirl, yes.
Pretty good. Batwing?
Yes.
That was another surprise.
Yeah, that was surprising, too.
Batwing.
Uh-huh.
Detective Comics?
Yep.
Green Arrow?
No.
Justice League International?
Yes.
Probably, I would say, one of the most fun of all of these.
Yeah.
Demon Knights, Justice League International, those are like good times.
Men of War.
Men of War.
I'd say if you like the genre.
If it's what you're into.
Yeah.
Static Shock.
No.
Stormwatch.
Wait for it to pan out a bit because right now it's just too much and I think it needs more room.
I say hold off. Batman and Robin.
If you like Batman, yes.
I say no.
Okay.
I found it to be dull.
Mhm.
Batwoman.
Yes.
Deathstroke.
Awesome.
If you want to see some silly badass guy.
Yep.
Demon Knights.
Yes.
If you like fantasy.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
No.
Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Grifter.
No.
We didn't read that one. Mr. Terrific.
I really liked it. But I'd recommend waiting a bit.
Yeah, I would say I'm actually just not interested.
Okay.
Resurrection Man.
I'd say yes.
I'd say yeah. Check it out. Suicide Squad.
I'd say wait a little.
I'd say wait too.
Yeah.
Superboy.
Yes. If you like Pokemon.
Batman.
Yes.
Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle.
I'd say no.
I'd say hold off. Captain Atom.
I'd say hold off.
I would also say hold off on that. Catwoman.
If you like boobs.
I would say if you like boobs, just read Voodoo. So no. DC Universe Presents.
So far, yes, but because it's an anthology, I think it's hard to call.
I'm gonna say hold off for next month. Green Lantern Corps.
If you like the dynamic between the characters, yes.
If you like buddy cops, if you like Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I think for either of those, it's a definite recommend. Legion of Superheroes.
I'd say no.
I would say boring.
Mm-hmm.
Nightwing.
Yes.
Yeah. Red Hood and the Outlaws.
If you could stand a little immaturity, then yeah.
I would say if you just want to see sexy images of Starfire, then yeah, why not? Otherwise, I'd say skip it. Supergirl.
I'd say wait a little.
I would say I think it's a good introduction to the character, so I would say.
But there's no.
I'd say if you're curious, check it out.
But I'd say wait until there's like a plot that, like a really active plot going on.
Wonder Woman.
I'd say wait a bit.
I'd say wait because I found it to be really kind of disorganized.
Yeah.
All-Star Western.
Yes.
If you want to see a period piece, get it. Aquaman.
Definitely.
Definitely Aquaman. Batman: The Dark Knight.
If it's your only Batman comic, yes, but we recommend all the others.
Yeah.
Well, I recommend all the others.
It's redundant, not worth it, I'd say. Blackhawks.
Yes.
If you want to see a G.I. Joe kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Flash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worth a shot. Fury of Firestorm.
If you didn't like Blue Beetle but want to see the genre, I guess.
I would say wait.
Yeah.
See how it pans out.
Uh-huh.
Green Lantern: New Guardians.
If you like Kyle Rayner.
I'm also going to say, I mean, if you like Kyle Rayner, then I guess get it, but for the most part, I would say since the plot is so...
If you like Green Lantern.
But not really, because I would say since the plot is so underdeveloped right now, I'd say wait a minute.
Probably, yeah, wait, definitely wait.
iVampire.
If you like vampires.
If you want a vamp apocalypse, it's good.
Yeah.
Savage Hawkman?
I'd say wait.
Yeah, me too.
Justice League Dark?
Justice League Dark, I would also say wait.
Yeah, wait.
Superman.
Yes.
Definitely, if you want to see a Superman book, especially if you were disappointed by Action Comics, check out Superman.
Yeah.
If you weren't disappointed by Action Comics,
Also
it's still
check
worth
out
a shot.
Superman.
If you don't like Superman, don't get it. Teen Titans?
I'd say wait.
I would say if you read Superboy and liked it, then read it. If you didn't, then don't. Or if you didn't, then hold off.
I'd say wait until all the characters are introduced.
And Voodoo.
No.
I would say if you want to see breasts.
Pick up a porn magazine if you want to see breasts. Not Voodoo.
If you like comic breasts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're that type of person.
Yeah, so overall, there are some strengths, there are some weaknesses, and what are we going to be looking at as the future rolls on?
I'm definitely going to follow the Justice League team.
Yeah.
Follow all the ones I said yes to. I'm going to follow.
We're going to keep reading a lot of these. I think the way that we should structure this, rather than giving a review of every new DC book that comes out ever, since these are arc-based, I think that you're better
Beginning, middle, end.
I think you're better off taking an in-depth look at the beginning, the middle to see what's being laid out,
Yeah.
the middle to see where the story's going,
And the
end to see if it's satisfying, give an overview of your feelings about it.
So we're probably going to skip next week. We might do like an overall recap. Next month. Yeah, we're going to skip next month. Maybe at the end of the month, do an overall recap of all the number 2s.
I would say at the end of maybe even each week of like just 5 or 6 minutes, just going over how things are going.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't to say that we're not going to be doing any videos. Because first off, next week we've got mini-series that are coming out. After the relaunch, we have room for mini-series now. Squawk indeed. Next week we get Penguin Pain and Prejudice, #1, and also The Huntress, #1. Oh, and guess who else is getting his own mini-series next month? Batman!
We always need more Batman.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be taking a look at those. And it's odd, with miniseries that are coming out now, I have to wonder, what separates an anthology series that just does individual arcs, like DC Universe Presents, and a miniseries that is just an individual arc?
Probably the writing staff, like just the way they organize writers for it.
Yeah, it seems a bit ambiguous to me. So, and also, we are also, of course, going to be taking a look at the archives.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of things that are perhaps not coming out this week or not coming out next week, yet are still either worth checking out, worth taking a look at, or are interesting enough that even if they're not the hot topic on everyone's minds, we should take a look at them. Maybe pull up a few things, or maybe just evaluate a few old things.
Yeah, and there's some stuff I have in mind. We want to give examples of certain arcs or certain stories that we'd want to review, maybe?
I know you definitely...
I want to do Kingdom Come.
He wants to take a look at Kingdom Come. I just finished New Frontier a while ago.
I'd be willing to read that. He said it was great, so I'd
read
it.
Probably... I've heard someone describe it as one of the best new... one of the best series in the past 10 years from DC. I'm not necessarily going to affirm or deny that, but it's worth taking a look at. I'm looking at some old, I'm getting The Question from 1987. I'm going to be taking a look at that series. I'm reading it for the first time myself. We might talk about that. There are also...
And I just want to say, even though we've been doing a lot of comic book videos, we're going to try and diversify the channel.
We want to review, okay, this is going to sound stupid, we want to review the Gutenberg Bible.
Yep.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think we're going to mostly stick within this realm of comic books, but also try branching out. Probably not doing any more sushi reviews, though.
No.
So, and also, by all means, we have just over 50 subscribers now. So, please, if you are subscribed and you're going to be getting updates on this, either now that we're done with this month, you could unsubscribe now, or you could let us know what you're interested in.
Yeah, tell us things to review. And remember, we don't want to stick to just comics necessarily.
I do, but,
I mean... want us to review, like, pick a trade paperback, pick your favorite one, and if we can get it, if it's affordable, if one of us already owns it, we'll try and review it for you.
Or if there's a library in town.
Yep.
So, I suppose that this is goodbye to the first issues of the DC relaunch. Overall, let's just give... Overall, would you say it was a success?
A letter grade to the DC.
A letter grade to the DC relaunch.
A letter grade to the DC relaunch. I'm going to have to give it a B+. In that there were a lot of things I was interested in, some disappointments, but for the most part, for better or worse, it was better.
I'm going to give it a B, because I think that it did... What it did well, it did quite well.
Mhm.
I'm not going to. I mean, these are issue 1s, so I'm not going to say there's anything necessarily completely brilliant and oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever read.
Except Aquaman.
I'm not even going to say that's Aquaman, but and it can be a bit tiring having nothing but issue 1s week after week.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that they didn't fuck too much with the continuity. I think that what they did end up introducing, we've got some good stories and the groundwork for some really good stories, and I could see a lot of potential in these. There were a few bad ones, but I mean, you're never going to have every book that a company puts out be fantastic, or even necessarily good. But one thing, there are a lot that kind of started off really slow, where I can't really... I could have thoughts about the book, but I'm not sure if I really want to read the series or not. So I think there may have been a few too many of those. But at the same time, some things you've got to give time. Naturally, we bought a lot more than most people normally would in a week. So I would give it a B. I would say it surprised me. And I would say that there's definitely a lot more that I thought were worth reading, or that I'm glad I did read, than things that I found either disappointing or offensive.
Yeah.
So, I think this is
the end.
This is the end of the beginning, and the beginning of the part just after the beginning, where no one really knows what's going on.
So to all the subscribers who just subscribed for listening to the number 1s, see you, I guess.
It was great having you on board, and good luck to you with all your future reading endeavors. For the rest of you, I guess
we're glad you're sticking around.
We got quite a show ahead of us.
Yeah.
Toodles.